Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Okay, in the belt fire kit, we're going to discuss this under Bushcraft kit. I've talked about a big fire kit. What I'm going to talk about now is the small fire kit. This is what's going to ride on my belt in this leather bag. And up to this point, that's what my haversack had basically been, was a fire kit. I've transferred that ability into this bag, and this is going to ride on my belt, and now my haversack is going to become more like a true scouting bag. But what I want to talk about is what you put into the bag, what you put into your EDC, so to speak. Now, we've talked about this before, but what I'm carrying in my bag is a nice leather pouch I picked up. I've got my stringer on here. That's got a sharpening tool, a striker, a button compass, a lighter with duct tape, and thread has been used to bind up the switch so it holds it up. And I've added a lanyard so it will hang on this easily. A finger light, a Swedish fire steel, a survival whistle. These you find in the boating department. A P38 can opener taped up, and a dog tag with all my information on it. In case worst comes to worst, I can identify the body. Now, also in here I'm carrying a couple of my fire straws and my big ferrocerium rod. Now, when I get to my location, I'm going to build a fire. I'm going to try to scout from the land my necessary needs, all my tinder, all my stuff. I can take my knife and make feather sticks if everything's wet. I can baton with my knife to get down to the drier inner core and then make feather sticks. Make little splits, kindling, and shavings to make a lot of my smalls. And I can also sit there and process other dry tops I find. The jumping point from the ignition to my fuel is the tinder, and that's an important part. I need to carry with me some form of tinder as a backup, because tinder is quite often one of the harder things to find. And yes, I can take a single log that big and sit there and process it all the way down, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I'm trying to build a fire, so I don't want to put forth any more effort than I have to. Okay, the lazy woodsman mentality. So, what am I going to carry for a tinder? How I like to carry it in here is one of these. And let me get up close and you'll see it. All this is one of them tobacco tins. I mean, you know somebody that chews tobacco or snuff. I mean, these are everywhere. Look around garbage cans, you'll find them. And I found they're a very handy way to carry tinder. Now, this one hasn't been done yet, so it's just, you know, plastic tub. Fairly good lid on it. And what I've done is I've already filled this one, and you see I've taken electrical tape and ran it all the way around to seal it up. This is my emergency tinder source where I cannot find tinder. Now, I gather in my journeys tinder. If I see a really good source, I go ahead and get it. Now, for example, this is birch bark and some cedar bark together that I picked up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a handful of it, and you can take a pretty good hunk of it, and I'm going to put it in here. Pretty good fist-sized bit. Crush it down in there. Now, I have processed it somewhat, not all the way, because a lot of times when you process it, you release those volatile oils. So I want some of them still trapped in the medium, so that when I'm sitting there at the time, finally breaking it up, there's still some oils left, it hasn't evaporated out. Now I put the lid back on, like so. And since it wants to push the lid off, now I would take that tape and run it all the way around, so that I would have this hockey puck riding inside my kit. Now, since I don't chew or dip snuff, when I see that I know exactly what it is. When I dig down in that bag in the dark, I know exactly what that is. And it fits perfectly fine into my kit. Now, remember I said 3 sources of ignition. I have fire starter. I have a ferrocerium rod. I usually carry matches. I've got a big ferrocerium rod. 2 forms of tinder, one that can be used wet, my dry tinder, and then my fire straw, which is made up of Vaseline soaked cotton ball put into a tube. This has multiple uses, as I spoke about in other videos. Because of that, I can take it and I can use it A, as a fire starter. B, should I have a cut, I can tear it and use the Vaseline to help a wound or a rash or something from spreading. 3, I can simply cut the very end off, take a stick and split it and do it like that and light the end of it, and it'll burn like a candle for 10 or 15 minutes. Multi-use. And if I got chapped lips, Vaseline. All fitting into this little bitty old belt pouch. Now, what do you need? You need in your environment the same basic idea, but what is the tinder that you need? How do you want to carry it? You can always carry tinder like wet fire or something like that. They do have an expiration. You can get the Inferno disc, which are wax and some other accelerant. They do very, very good and are waterproof. But thinking in the worst case scenario, I have fell in the creek in the winter. All my gear except what is strapped to me is lost. Well, that is strapped to me and will go with me. So when I get up there on the bank, I'll have my knife, it's attached to me. I'll have my fire kit, it's attached to me. I'll probably have some other form of fire starting in a pocket or something like that as well, because I'm a redundance person. Now, everything around me is damp. It's a swampy area. It's been raining. I've overturned. So now I've got to take my knife, process it down, get to the dry, get me a little teepee built up, ready to go, and then out will come my pre-made tinder. And I will process it real quick, stick it out there, throw a match to it, throw a lighter to it, throw a ferrocerium rod to it, and have a fire. What is the abundant tinder in your area that you can find everywhere? Birch bark, cedar bark, pine, fat lighter shavings, what? Find out what is in your area and make up a container of it that's waterproof or very, very water resistant. So when the chips are down, you've got a tinder. If I can go from match to tinder to flames, I'm good. Something I have not carried in here, I should have carried, is I like to carry several of the little bitty small birthday candles. Go ahead and light them ahead of time, because once you char that wick, it's easier to relight it. You can sometimes even relight it with a spark from the ferrocerium rod if you can hit it just right. And that's a coal extender. I can stick that in the dirt and light it, and it'll sit there and burn 5, 6, 8, 10 minutes while I put stuff around it. It's not cheating to have it's not cheating to have as many possible ways to make a fire as you can. It's called being self-reliant. Hope this helps, guys. I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.